How to take care of yourself. This is one of the hardest questions that you can ask or answer as a man, especially in a society or a world where we are all adapted and used to and raised as we really don't care of ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves at all. So just responding to this question was so intrinsically hard for me that I had so much time and sort of think about it for a lot to get the answers. And I tried different things, and today I'll be sharing it with you. Of course, I'm gonna share with you also the resource of this information and the books that I've read about it, and also my first-hand experience of me applying this information. Now, this concept was first introduced to me in the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is a book written by a psychologist. Him and his wife, for the past 20 years, they have been studying what they call the nice guy syndrome. This symptom or syndrome, whatever, for the nice guy is usually present, especially for men who grew up without a father, or their father was absent or violent, or whatever relationship with their father that they didn't really have. And they grew up and they always almost had this idea or the instinct or desire that they want to be almost the opposite of their father, which actually happens or gives us a side effect, the idea that they take care of themselves because they always put other people above themselves. Now, this sounds good on paper, but when you actually start doing it, you start realizing that it actually gets fucked really fast, really bad. Now, whether you are one of those nice guy, as the book called them, the nice guy syndrome or not, but this concept is actually quite important. So one of the curing or whatever treatment area or whatever going out of this syndrome part of the book, he talks about taking care of yourself. Meaning you have to take care or you have to put time for yourself that is solely for yourself, for your desire to please yourself. And we're talking going to the gym, getting a haircut, wearing good clothing, sleeping good, etc., etc. And what you find out with a lot of people that have this nice guy syndrome, they don't sleep well, they put their work above themselves, they're trying to be, perfect, they have to portray this perfect image of themselves, they don't want people to see the bad sides of themselves as well. And they think, which is obviously the greatest thing about this point, is that they think if they ask or they put themselves and their desire first, people are going to hate them because it's almost as selfish, and that's how they grew up. Because when they grew up, they actually didn't have this opportunity or privilege to actually put themselves first. They didn't have a father or a parent, whatever, and they grew up with their mother. So that symptom actually grew up from there because they were never able to actually put themselves first. And that's some sort of a thing that kids do. And for them, they actually had it for their entire life because they never grew out of it. So whatever you have this nice guy syndrome, whatever you read the No More Mr. Nice Guy, which I really do recommend for a lot of people, especially men, obviously. And especially if you didn't have a father, grew up without a father, or your father left you or violent, or you didn't have a good relationship with your father growing up, all these are actually quite cases that you should actually give it a shot and see. Maybe, actually just the first chapter, a couple of pages, you'll realize, are you actually among the No More Mr. Nice Guy syndrome group or not? Very easy. Now, when I got to this point where actually I have to put myself first, that was new for me because I've never done that in my fucking life, my entire life. I said, okay, now how do I take care of myself? Now, more than that, I will stop before answering this question. I will also, to sort of enriches, which is make the arguments even more rich. I'll give even more references. In one of the best books, the best business books, entrepreneurial books, the richest self-help books, the best making money books of all time, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He talks about this particular moment in one particular case or story in the book, and he mentions it and he says, you have to almost live and think of yourself a certain way. And he actually talked about it so beautifully, and I remember he talked about his story when he was so afraid. I don't remember the story, but he was threatened or people were killed or whatever in that area. I don't really remember the story. But he had to move out to another city with his brother. So he was very afraid for like 3 months. He was living in the basement. So in that specific period or whatever after it, And when he was looking for a job, he actually had this almost realization or almost this decision that he has made is actually to live up the life he wants, at least for once. And he thinks that he deserves, like he almost thought of himself that he deserves more. And in that specific scenario for him, he actually went and bought good clothing and he went to a good restaurant, whatever. And for this specific scenario, he actually took care of himself. Now, going back to answer the question that I've asked, which is how do you take care of yourself? And this was a hard question for me to answer at first. Because really anything you can lie to yourself and label it as, oh, I'm taking care of myself. I'm actually sitting in my bed watching social media. But am I actually taking care of myself in that specific scenario? Of course, fucking not. And you had to go back to the book, actually, No More Mr. Nice Guy, to sort of realize what are the activities that you have to take care of yourself. And the good thing about the No More Mr. Nice Guy book, he actually has a very long list of how you take care of yourself. The best one, which I'll be starting with here, is going to the gym. If you're not training, especially if you're not training regularly, going to the gym or training is one of the easiest ways to take care of yourself. It's the first thing that you can think about. If you take care of yourself, you're going to the gym. You can't go to the gym and that is an act that you don't care of yourself. It just doesn't go hand in hand. It goes hand in hand, taking care of yourself and actually taking care of your physical appearance, your body, get in physical shape, actually even your performance and how you feel, your heart rate, cardiovascular system, etc., your muscular system, all of that. Now, going to the gym has different signification. Also, depends on what sport you do. If you're doing running, bodybuilding, lifting, if you're doing, let's say, Pilates, if you're doing paddle or tennis or golf, all these are different sports. But what gets them all together commonly is you take care of yourself. Even with this, I'm going to add even with this when I went to my psychologist about 1.5 years ago or so, and I talked to her about all the habits that I actually develop and I have in my day. And the moment I mentioned sport, she said, that's the best thing you have ever said today. And I have said a lot of things. I've said reading books and, taking care of my mental health and eating healthy and what did I say? Look good, having a social life, praying, doing sales, making money. All these were on the list. When I mentioned sports, she said, that's the best thing you've ever said today. And that just shows the importance of actually sport in your mental health and how you actually feel, look, and operate from a daily basis. Now, this sounds easy, and it is easy, actually. It is the easiest thing you can do. Just go to the gym. That's the first thing you can take care of yourself. Second thing to take care of yourself, putting yourself first. As contradicting as that sounds, it's the hardest thing to do as a nice guy, or someone who has the nice guy syndrome. I mean, for me, I had to actually actively ask myself, I have to put myself first and only myself first. To almost think of my mind of the possibility that I can do certain things. One of the biggest examples is your fucking time. Your time is yours. If you have the nice guy syndrome, or you don't, whatever, you will fall into the trap of actually not giving yourself your time and actually always some sort of giving people your time. Time is the biggest asset you have. Time is the most richest thing you have. And you have to protect your time just like you protect your money. I'm gonna repeat it again. You have to protect your time just like you protect your money. You have to protect your time just like in the way you protect your money from getting stolen. So protecting your time and giving yourself your time is taking care of yourself. Now, how do you do that? I'm gonna give you how I do that. Personally, how I do that is, it comes in two ways that comes both hand in hand. The first one, which is the easiest, I'm gonna start with it, is give myself a schedule that I go with every single day. And this schedule I haven't just chosen randomly, but I actually have done a research and analysis of the past 5-6 years of my life, and realized that, spoiler alert, sleep is the most important thing in my life. The areas or the periods where I have slept the most, I fucked up the least, and I won the most, and I was the best version of myself, and I succeeded the most. So I made a rule of thumb in my life: every fucking single day, I'm not awake after midnight. If there is a work, if there is an errand, if there is something that I have to do after midnight, I don't give a fuck. Fuck that shit, I'm going to sleep. And a lot of the times you can't sleep, whatever, I read books. It's the only exception I have. The only rule I have, if I want to be awake or I can be awake, the only thing I'm allowed to do is read books, because I think books are very good. They don't fuck your sleep anyways. They don't fuck with your dopamine. I think it's amazing. Other than that, no. I don't work after midnight. I don't talk after midnight. I don't know anything after midnight. I don't train after midnight. You name it, you go through the list. After midnight, I fucking sleep. That's how I protect my time. And throughout the day, I do all the activities. I work, I do meetings, I talk to my professors, I do business, I sell, I upload videos, film, market, anything. Travel, whatever. So as I said, that was the first point of it. And obviously I've already talked about training, and also training can come with it. It's also, I put time for training. I don't give a fuck what do I have. I train, I put myself fucking first, and only myself fucking first. The second part, which I said I'm gonna save for later, at least after this, I have learned from The Richest Man in Babylon, the book. So The Richest Man in Babylon, one of the best financial books of all time, also investment books. The main character, whose name is Arcade, he's the richest man in this country or whatever world called Babylon. And he talked about how he actually keeps his word every fucking time he says it. He says, if there is a river, and I said, I'm gonna go through the river every day for 100 days, and I'm gonna throw a pebble at the river, that means I'm gonna do it for 100 days. If that being said, at day number 20, I was too tired to go there, I must still keep going and go. If, let's say, day number 27, I passed through the river and forgot to throw a pebble, I wouldn't say tomorrow I'll throw 2. No, I'll go back and throw that pebble. And he said, which is obviously the reason why I'm saying this story, and he says, that is why I say to myself, or I say so little words to myself. I keep little promises to myself. I don't just promise all the time. Not everybody, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'll do this now. Just a few things, I choose them carefully, perfectly, and I'm gonna do this, 1, 2, 3, or just one thing. Why, he said? He said, because I love leisure time. I love leisure time. I love leisure time. And this was some sort of a moment where I said, the richest man in Babylon, the richest man, love leisure time. It almost looks contradicting. You're like, the richest man must love work and work every time and all day long. Nope, he doesn't. He loves leisure time. He loves to have the time to himself. He loves to have free time. Even someone modern like Alex Hormozi talks about it. He said, a lot of the times I keep periods of myself to myself, meaning my calendar is actually free. I don't have no meetings, no work, no workouts, nothing. And a lot of people, especially in vacations, a lot of people ask him, hey, Alex Hormozi, do you have anything planned today? And he says, no. And people have this assumption that if you don't have nothing planned, it means that your plan is available for them. And that is no. Free time doesn't mean available time. A lot of the time, free times, I want it to myself. I want to do whatever the fuck I want. Sleep, go outside, bike, run. I mean, 2 or 3 days ago, I don't really remember. Let me look at my calendar. 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, I actually had just done my exams in the morning and went back. I sat a little bit with my social media. I scrolled. I said, you know what, I want to do something. I felt the urge to socialize. I really didn't want that. I said, I'm going to go take a look or take a walk, but it wasn't a walk. It was a bike into the city, the richest areas of the city, the areas that I'm not really comfortable or used to, or I don't really know a lot about, that I know has the most beautiful of girls, the richest of people, the best of cars, the best of areas, the most luxurious cafes, etc. The best of roads, you name it. So I went there. I don't really know how much time, maybe like 2 hours. So I just biked for 2 hours. In a way, I also took care of myself and upped my mileage when it comes to biking that week. On the other hand, I also happened to fucking discover that area. Look at the beautiful cars, the luxurious restaurants, the beautiful women, the luxurious, most richest of men in the city, the most richest man, the most richest cars in the city. Right? That's how I take care of myself. And if I did have the urge of whatever, I just have to cram my time of whatever bullshit, I wouldn't have the ability or the privilege. And I remember going back, or at least at some point, I was discovering even these new areas and I was like, wow, I've never seen this in my entire life. And after that, I've actually happened to go there and ask in that area about specific centers, and that I found that I actually can benefit from. It was the best opportunities I've ever had in my life. And I remember I said, that's the best decision I've ever made in my life. And what was that? Putting myself first, giving myself mad fucking time. Free time doesn't mean available time, it means my time. More than that, The Richest Man in Babylon, which is, as I said, is a fucking investing book, it's a financial book, talks about this main essence of the book. Main essence, main rule of the book is keep 10th of your money to yourself. Meaning you make $100, $10 is yours to keep. And this was actually the richest man in Babylon named Arcade. He was actually teaching or whatever, talking to this fellow man who wanted to actually become rich, but they are not. And they said, 10% of my money that I make is mine to keep. Isn't all my money mine to keep? And he said, no, it's actually not. And he said, what the fuck are you talking about? Explain to us, what do you mean? And he went on further to say that 10% is yours to keep, meaning you can never eat from it, you can never use it. That 10% is an investing money. It means that 10% is actually the money that will get you more money. You can only invest it. And obviously it goes on the rules of investing and how you should actually choose the businesses you invest in and the mistakes you have to avoid, etc. But the main essence is that that money is yours to make, is yours to keep. And if you look at it without even reading the book, you say, well, actually it's the 90% it's mine to keep, because that's the one that I actually use, pay my rent, buy my clothing, my food, travel with it, have fun with it, whatever I need, buy my clothing, pay my rent, pay my debt, my house debt, my house, whatever. But it's actually no. The 10% is yours to keep. And that's how you take care of yourself. And he talks about it even further, and he said actually having money works in different ways, in magical ways, that even just with the idea of you having money, you attract more money. Money goes to people who have money. If your purse is lean, or if your purse is fat with money, money will be attracted to you than if your purse is lean. Because money loves the people who love money. And money loves the people who know how to deal with money. And if you have money, you indicate to the world that you actually have money and love money and know how to deal with money. However, on the contradictory, if you have a lean purse, you indicate to the world that you don't know money. You don't know how to deal with money, and you don't like money, you don't love money. Which is such a beautiful idea. And actually he talks about how actually that money, and the reason why it's yours to keep, is you actually invest. And that money, almost gold, has his babies. That's how he says. He goes and earns his babies, and babies gets, give birth to some other babies. And that's, there we're talking about the compound interest of investment. Now, with this being said, it's obviously obvious that there's so many ways of actually taking care of yourself. From actually training to Looking good, getting a haircut, I mean, also is one of the best things you can do. Looking good, looking sharp. I'm not saying you have to buy, I mean, getting a haircut, I'd say, is cheap usually, right? I mean, unless if you're really broke and you're dying and you're starving, you should actually get a haircut. And you should also give a word to yourself. As an example, for me, I have a word to myself, which is 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I get a haircut, maximum 3 weeks. So that being said, I'm always having a fresh haircut. I'm always suited. I'm always ready for whatever happens in my life. I need to meet a new director, I need to meet a business associate, I'm there. There's something I have to talk with the director, I'm there. There's a problem I have to negotiate with the director of the college, I'm there. Right? I'm always sharp, I'm always there, I'm always confident. That's how I take care of myself. And also, as I said, with time and also with money. So with this being said, I hope that I've actually explained to you how you take care of yourself in the best possible ways. Obviously, I've tried to diversify the references that I make from different books, from The Richest Man in Babylon to No More Mr. Nice Guy. And also I have to actually diversify also the first-hand experiences, from different experiences, from training to money to looking good to looking sharp to time, etc. And even I have actually took some other people like entrepreneurs like Alex Hormozi to even make this even richer of an argument. Please watch this video again and again and again, because this needs to become like a second nature to you. Taking care of yourself and always asking yourself the question, I only put myself first and only my fucking self first, has to become like a second nature to you. So watch this video again and again until this becomes rooted in your subconscious mind. Subscribe.